This is always a great question because you only know if it's a good decision when you look at it retrospectively. However, I like to focus on ones where I think what decision that I was able to make at the time that seemed like it was a good decision, rather than being able to look back and say, hey, that wasn't a good decision based on what ultimately ended up happening. And I think really the best decisions you end up making are the ones where you can see really what those opportunities are in front of you at the time when you make that decision. And that call, my decision to move up to Vancouver, not to stay in Silicon Valley, and to focus on a new venture capital ecosystem outside of what would be considered a normal area, I think is really kind of fundamentally key. You know, I'll bring in a story that I think is kind of unique. I was chatting with a very close colleague of mine, and he told me, he asked me a question quite point blank. He was like, why would you move to Vancouver to get involved in venture capital? He's like, isn't that just a bit of an outpost? It's the equivalent of moving to Portland. Remember, this is an American telling me this story, so he hasn't left the valley. And I countered with that in saying, well, you know, if you want to be at the head of the curve, if you want to kind of see where things are potentially changing, it's about looking at these places that might not necessarily be the first place to take a look at, and then recognizing an opportunity that other people don't see. Those are ultimately the best decisions. It's not the opportunities that are obvious. It's the opportunities that are unobvious that turn out to be good after the fact. So I like to look at those decisions. The best decisions that I ultimately made are the ones at the time that I was able to recognize I thought that was an undervalued or unseen opportunity. I think moving to Vancouver was, and being involved in the Canadian venture capital ecosystem 10 years ago was really kind of, I think, fundamentally one of those great unseen opportunities.